Coming up on this edition of the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, tournament coverage from Lake James as the North Division of the Carolinas Bass Challenge make their second stop of the season. We then head south to Lake Hartwell, where our friends at Visit Anderson host the Bassmaster Elite Series Pros. Plus, it's the 30th annual Wolfson Children's Hospital charity tournament on the St. Johns River. Vance McCullough is there for us once again. Strike King pro tips, product spotlights, and tournament news. It's all up next as the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, starts right now. Hey everyone, welcome to the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, brought to you this year by Sportsman's Warehouse. We begin today by featuring the Carolinas Bass Challenge Team Trail. Marshall's Marine in Lake City, South Carolina, and Foothills Marine in Morganton, North Carolina have combined efforts to sponsor this trail, providing the opportunity for Carolina anglers to compete on some of the best fisheries the states have to offer. Here's Tournament Director Brett Collins.
We're at Lake James today. This is our second stop on the North Carolina CBC. We had 100 boats today, and we paid back a little over 31,000 bucks. We've had some fantastic catches the first two tournaments at Santee. I think 34 pounds won and 37 won the other one. And our two-day championship this year will be at Santee in October. And of course, first place is $50,000. You got to fish 3 to be in. But you can come and join us. We usually pay back $10,000 first place. So if you guys are freed up and you want to fish a great tournament with some huge paybacks, look at our schedule and we'll see you there. From the looks of it, the anglers found success on Lake James.
Gotta weigh that one.
Got 5, we're going to weigh a big one. Smallmouth going to weigh up at 4.41, 4.41. Total weight's going to be 14.25, 14.25. We're going to weigh a big fish. They got 5. Big fish is 5.66, 5.66. New leader going to come up at 17.82, 17.82. We got 5. We're going to weigh a big one. What's the big fish? 5.66?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 5.65. Got a smallmouth going way up at 6.14, 6.14. Yeah, 5. Ooh, 5.92.
Take it back way to the sea.
21.03. 21.03. That's going to be a new leader.
It's island across the spot. Just happened to see some shad and some bait fish that looked good, and turned around and started fishing down that bank. And caught two of the big ones pretty quick, and then we caught some little fish late. It really happened within a few hours, really.
For information on the CBC and all your tournament news, it's all right there at anglerschannel.com. Coming up after the break, Anglers Channel's Chris Brown joins us from Sportsman's Warehouse and takes us to Anderson, South Carolina and Lake Hartwell for the Elite Series. Stay with us.
The Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, is sponsored by Ranger Boats, the leader in bass boats, by Mercury Marine, quality, performance, innovation, reliability, by Strike King Lures, more than 50 years of domination, and by Costa Del Mar, eyewear designed for anglers.
Excuse me. Do you mind being a motor?
What could be better than being a motor? The real question is, do you mind not being a motor?
I do.
For those who were born to ride, there's Progressive.
For more than 50 years, the Ranger name has stood for quality, performance, and innovation. Ranger Regatta pontoons blend these legendary traits with plush comfort, family-friendly features, and wide-open layouts. Experience smooth, stable performance and peace of mind for unsurpassed fun and satisfaction. Ranger Regatta pontoons, quality of life, carefully crafted. Mercury, go boldly.
Whether day or night, I love to tie one on.
Every day of the week, I like to tie one on.
I don't care who's looking, I always tie one on.
Every time I go on the water, I love to tie one on.
You may not know this about me, but every once in a while, I've been known to tie one on.
Come on, man. Join the Stray King team. All you gotta do, tie one on.
I think I always tie one on.
Well, it's spawning time on Lake Hartwell here on the South Carolina-Georgia line, and soft plastics are the name of the game. This week, it's the Brandon Cobb Show. Let's see how he does on the Lake Hartwell Elite. Local guide Bob Rutherford and producer Kenny Curnow are out on Hartwell.
He's been doing the same pattern all 4 days, running these flat pockets up here on the Seneca River side of Hartwell.
We were talking this time of year, they come into play, these flat pockets.
Yes, these fish are moving into spawn, and he's either sight fishing for them or just going down the bank throwing soft plastics in these shallow pockets. You'll see there's a lot of this dog fennel grass these fish are relating to, and they'll spawn in that stuff.
We were talking on the ride up here. It's amazing how big this lake is.
Right, huge. Thousands of pockets like this to fish. I don't know how they decide which ones they go to either.
It's a mystery.
Well, one thing is, we're not far from Clemson, and that's where Brandon college fished. Went to school and fished in their college fishing team, so he probably has a lot of experience in this area on this technique. You notice now he stopped. And he probably saw one.
Kind of concentrating now.
Yeah.
Nice fish. Looks like it from here anyway.
There you go, brother. Mm-hmm. Oh, that looks like a good fish.
Not big as I thought you were. Woo!
Green Pond Landing and Visit Anderson hosted the final day's weigh-in as spectators and family and friends gathered.
Let's get ready to win! Our very first angler, a 5-time Geico Bassmaster Classic qualifier, a 3-time Bassmaster winner from Paducah, Kentucky, Mark Menendez! He started the day with 45 pounds, 10 ounces. He is looking for 9 pounds, 13 ounces to take the lead. 16 pounds even. 61 pounds and 10 ounces. 13. Drew Cook takes the lead with 63 pounds and 4 ounces. From Arkansas, Stetson Blaylock. He's looking for 13-11 to take the lead. Don't get cozy. 19 pounds and an ounce. 19-1. He's got 16 pounds, 11 ounces. And Stetson Blaylock is your brand new leader. He's been dreaming of this moment since he was 7 years old. Stetson, let's get side by side. Started the day with 55.6. Looking for 13.6. I heard the shuffle of things. 16 pounds. 14 ounces. 16, 14.
Congratulations to hometown hero Brandon Cobb on winning the Lake Hartwell Elite using a combination of soft plastics, jigs, things that you can find right here at your hometown Sportsman's Warehouse store in Anderson, South Carolina.
Thanks, Chris. We'll have more from Chris and Sportsman's Warehouse later in the show. Coming up next, we head south to the St. Johns River in Palatka, Florida, with Anglers Channel's own Vance McCullough. And right after the break, Strike King Pro Brad Knight will be here with the Strike King Pro Tip of the Week. We'll be right back.
This edition of the Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, is sponsored by Visit Anderson and visitanderson.com, South Carolina's bright spot.
You ever wish you weren't a motor?
Sure. Sometimes I wish I had legs like you.
Yeah, like a regular person?
No. Still have bike half man. Just the opposite.
What's the legs on the bottom and motorcycle on the top? Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
For those who were born to ride, there's Progressive.
From the dedicated, passionate anglers at G. Loomis, we bring you E6X. We know fishing and know how to make high-performance rods. Each E6X blank features multi-taper technology and action-matched high-grade cork handles, providing perfect balance and sensitivity. E6X belongs in your hand. Feel connected. For more information, visit gloomis.com.
Excuse me. Do you mind being a motor?
What could be better than being a motor? The real question is, do you mind not being a motor?
I do. For those who were born to ride, there's Progressive.
This is the all-new Toad Bus from Strike King Lure Company. You know, the past couple of years, one of the big crazes on the Pro Tour has been adding a toad to the butt of a buzzbait and replacing the skirt. And that is for a couple of reasons. Number one, it'll skip back underneath the dock a lot more. You have a flatter surface, and it's the same as when you were a kid and you'd pick a flat rock up on the riverbank and see how many times you could skip it out into the water. You can do the exact same thing with the buzzbait and make those presentations back underneath boats and boat docks and marinas, what have you. And you're basically getting a lure that those fish haven't seen in those areas. So that's one advantage. Number two, it's going to cast further because it's adding weight, and it's going to plane out faster because of the same skipping part. You have that flat surface that's going to bring your lure up. One thing I really like too about the Toad Buzz is how far the hook sits in the back of it. It's not coming out in the middle. It's basically having a trailer hook without having to have one. So when a fish comes up from behind, the hook sits far enough back. I really like that. But this is the key feature. Okay, I'm going to remove this toad and I'm going to show you what makes this special. All right, you see the barbs that hold this on? I'm going to spin it around here for you. It has two sides, or two barbs on either side, and what that does is keeps your bait from sliding down. That's the worst problem you can have, is when you're making your cast, or you make a great skip back where that 5-pounder's living, and your toad slides down and your buzzbait doesn't run around and cost you. So Strike King addressed that issue. They spent a lot of time working on that to come up with the really good barbs, hold your bait in place. So again, this is the Toad Buzz from Strike King Lure Company.
Thanks, Brad. One of our favorite tournaments of the year to cover every year is the Wolfson Children's Hospital Charity Bass Tournament in Palatka, Florida on the St. Johns River. Our own Vance McCullough is there with the story.
Folks, we're here in Palatka, Florida for the Wolfson Children's Hospital Tournament. I've got Becky Williams here with me, who's very involved in the local fishing scene. Becky, what year is this, 29th, 30th?
This is the 30th annual.
30th. They've been doing this for 3 decades, raised a ton of money for the Children's Hospital. They raised another $300 grand this year with almost 400 boats today.
Exactly. They had a great turnout. We're really excited about the weigh-in. The weight should be up. It's a beautiful day out here in Palatka. So the weights are going to fluctuate some. We haven't had quite as many double digits big bass, but from the lad and lass, the VIP, the weights keep going up each day. So we should have something in over 30 pounds today.
And some of that has to do with the lack of eelgrass and the hurricanes and all that. We're lucky to be on the boat with Peter Thaveros today, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the river, the state of the river, and why it's, you know, not its normal self, but it's still kicking out those big weights. It's going to be an awesome weigh-in. We're going to see some big bags of fish, and again, the big winner are the families served by the Wolfson Children's Hospital here in North Florida. Folks, y'all stick around. A lot of action to come from Palatka, Florida. Peter Thaveros, FLW Tour Pro, fished the Bassmaster tournaments, fished all of them over the years, fished this river, and you've seen the changes on this river.
The river's itself. I mean, you know, the one thing that changes on this body of water is the vegetation. Sometimes the water quality is a little different than others, but it really, the fishery is still the same. The fishery's really strong. The fish still live here. You really got all phases of the fishery firing off right now, but the biggest thing that's going on right now in the river is an early morning shad spawn. A lot of the anglers are keying on that real early in the morning. It lasts for about an hour. You can expect to see some pretty good stringers today. And from this river, 390 boats fishing today. They'll go from one end of this river to the other. There's going to be guys up at Jacksonville fishing, and there's going to be guys down almost to Sanford fishing. So, you know, it'll spread them out quite a bit. But we're going to run around in this part of the river and see what we can find, talk to a few anglers, see what they've got going on, and we'll get a better idea towards weigh-in what they've caught.
Now, you caught a big fish yesterday right out of the dirt.
Yeah, yesterday Nick and I fished the VIP event. Fortunately, his partner that he was supposed to fish with had something come up, and I filled in for him. And we caught an 890 yesterday in about 1.5 feet of water. That's a big fish for this time of year. Expect to see some really good weights and some healthy fish come in today.
Hey, you kind of found a little room on the dance floor. Nobody else is around you. Is that to say you're smarter than everybody else or dumber than everybody else?
I don't know how to answer that.
How's the box looking? We got a limit yet?
No, we don't have a limit. We got 3 right now. We lost a couple good ones.
Any size?
We got one probably about 6.
About 6. Now that's gonna help you some.
Yeah, we just need 5 or 4 more of them just like that. We'll be all right.
So 5 tries between the 2 of you. Today gonna be the lucky one?
We sure hope so. We got a stud in the live well, so.
Do you? How big?
It's probably 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Yeah. Nice.
Well, that's how big he was when we got him. He might have shrunk since then, but that's a good one.
And so how's it going today so far?
Not good.
Nah?
It ain't been too good so far.
Yeah. You seen anybody else catch them, or is it, nah? This slow so far?
Slow for everybody, I think.
Yeah. You got anything in the box?
Probably got 15 pounds, so we got plenty of time.
Okay, so 15's a good start. That's a real good start. Was that an early morning bite?
Yeah, we did have an early morning bite. Lost a few real nice fish. Got a couple decent bugs.
The early morning bite's already, you know, run its course, and which is just typical of this time of year with, you know, with the shad spawn. Once it's over, those fish don't necessarily leave, but they don't feed. You know, they just kind of hang around in the same areas, and they're really tough to get to bite. These fellows are fishing out here where these fish generally gang up, you know, and start chasing shad once they move off the bank. Carolina rig and drop shot type hole, and it's a good spot. It's a really good place to get bit. It's more of a numbers spot than anything else. And you can get on 4-pounders pretty quick, though, if they decide to bite.
The Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, is sponsored by Minn Kota, by Humminbird, by Navionics, and by Gemini Fishing Apparel.
Welcome back, everybody. While Vance is standing by at the weigh-in at the 30th Annual Wolfson Children's Hospital Charity Bass Tournament, let's go back to talk to Chris Brown at Sportsman's Warehouse.
Thanks, John. You know, from watching Vance's report down the St. Johns River at the Wolfson tournament, I got thinking about a few baits I need to have in my arsenal for spawning fish this year. You know, the Strike King centipede, maybe a Strike King rodent, or even a bullworm, some things that you can pick up at your local Sportsman's Warehouse. Let's send it back down to Vance and see what else has happened at the Wolfson event.
377 boats I think y'all had today?
We had 377 actually go out. Boat numbers went up to 389, but actual boats was 377. We had a few sponsor spots that didn't get filled, so but 377 actual boats are on the water fishing right now.
But with that sponsor support and the guys that signed up to fish, we raised $300 grand I think today was what I'm hearing for the hospital.
That's what rumor has it. Absolutely, we've got over $4 million have been raised over the last 30 years.
And this is the 30th edition.
This is actually our 10th year.
Yeah, it just seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And 28 pounds didn't even win it yesterday. 28 pounds was good for second place. 28 something won it. We're going to see some big weights today here in a minute. I'm getting excited.
It should be game on today.
Yeah, it's going to be lights out, man. I can't wait. Let's go weigh some fish.
Let's do it.
New leaders, ladies and gentlemen, 21.18 pounds, 21.18.
You two gentlemen just weighed in a couple of big old bass, man. Tell me the story. Who caught them? How'd y'all catch them?
Man caught both of them.
Chatterbait, both of them on docks.
Chatterbait on docks, late in the day.
Much until after lunch. We got both of those after lunch. Not much. Yes, sir. It was hard and tough.
Three little dinks till 12 o'clock, and then he caught both of them.
How do we do today, my buddy? Not quite as good? Not quite as good as what? Not quite as good as you wanted to? Or not quite as good as, how about 20.88 pounds? 20.88. Good enough, I believe, for second place.
Carl, you got a nice Saturday. You over 20 pounds. How'd you catch the fish?
We caught them on top water and crankbaits.
Early?
Yeah, before 8 o'clock.
And then what, did it just shut off after that?
Yeah, we caught one finally about 2:30 a while ago, 5 pounds.
All right, so I got Trey and Cole with me here who traveled from afar, the big town of Lake Butler, to come down here to Palatka and put a royal butt whipping on these bass, man. At 28 pounds. Gentlemen, how'd y'all get it done?
We just messed around. We stuck to our game plan. Last year, we had the same game plan, but we got away from it and went down to George, all the hype about George, and we went down there and couldn't catch a thing. So this year, we stayed with our game plan, and we caught them right here in the river.
Tell me about the big fish, 10.8 pounds.
Well, first thing that morning, he caught one on top water, that 8 pound or 7 pound, whatever it was. And I was just joking with him. I said, man, what if I catch one bigger than you today? How's that gonna make you feel? He was joking around. About 3 hours later, I pitched it into some mats there. And I felt my line running. I snatched the hook, thought it was a mudfish, sure as the world as big as it was. Came up, he lipped it, got in the boat, and we danced and yelled and slapped hands and everything else.
377 teams weighed in a total of 484 fish. That's a tournament total weight of 1,455.7 pounds of St. Johns River bass, all to benefit the Wolfson Children's Hospital. We want to take a moment to honor the memory of FLW Tour veteran and Wolfson participant Glenn Brown, who passed away May 28th. Glenn participated in this event knowing his time was short. Brown said he wanted to fish the Wolfson tourney one more time. It meant a lot to him, and he was glad to help with the fundraiser. Nearly $300,000 was raised this year thanks to you dedicated anglers like Glenn who participated.
Obviously, our condolences to Glenn's family. Folks, that wraps up this week's Progressive Bass Wrap-Up Show. For all your tournament information, product reviews, anything and everything to do with bass fishing, go to anglerschannel.com, and we'll see you next week.
Promotional consideration provided by Ed Watkins Marine, by Carhartt, Bass Mafia, Buckeye Lures, Collins Boating, and by Trickstep. Produced by anglerschannel.com.